What's up, guys? Welcome to the latest episode of Out of the Shadows. Now, this is going to be another kind of stream of consciousness episode. I haven't written any script to this, and it's just something I need to do, and I guess I'm not really going to have the time to sit down and work it out per se, or at least not at this time, so I'm just going to go with it. For those of you who follow me on Instagram or Facebook, things like that, I've talked about a lot recently how I've lost my cousin to suicide, and this is a video that I hoped never to have to make in terms of having the personal experience of losing someone to suicide. Now, this is definitely a really hard time for me, especially in the fact that my cousin and I had made plans maybe 3 months ago. The plan was to go and take one of my nephews out, who I feel has a lot of similarities in his personality and in his interests, to my cousin. So we're going to take him out together, have kind of a day for him, an uncle, nephew / cousin day. And so I've decided, I talked to my nephew, and I will be going out with him, just he and I, tomorrow. And, because I've made that plan, because now I kind of have that on the book, so to speak, it's tomorrow. I keep having the thoughts of like, man, we were supposed to do this together. It was going to be you and me and the kid, and it was going to be a great bonding experience. And I really felt that, my cousin and my nephew were going to have a really great relationship. I mean, they're interested in things like cars and fixing things, and they're very kind of hands-on type people, and that's not what I'm good at. I'm more music, martial arts, different things like that, and they can relate on a level that I don't have those exact things. And I thought, I was like, wow, this is going to be really good, I think, for both of them, and especially my nephew, in that he's 14, he just started high school. It's a very, I don't know, tender age, shall we say. So anyway, the fact that I have to do this without him is tough. Of course I want to do it. I want to keep this promise to my nephew. I had promised him this on his birthday because I wasn't able to give him quite as much money as I would have liked to. It was his birthday and his graduation combined. So I wanted to come with a bigger gift, and I didn't have the means. So I was like, hey man, you, me, and our cousin, we're going to go out. It's going to be just for you, like none of the other nieces and nephews. He has 2 brothers. I'm sorry. He has a brother and a sister. He has 2 siblings. And I have 7 nieces and nephews, so there's quite a few. It's very difficult to divide my time, and they range from, my youngest niece is 5 months old, my oldest nephew is 21. So it's a bit of a challenge to be able to be there with everyone, to do what everyone wants to do. So I'm happy to give him this time. Getting back to the main point of this, though, this has brought up so many feelings, in that I know, of course, and I'm sure with many people who've experienced a loss like this, that people feel responsible. I don't feel responsible. I don't feel guilty in the fact of like, oh my God, I should have done this or seen this coming, or there was something I could have done in terms of blaming myself. Now, on the flip side of that, I tried to call him the day before he passed away. We kind of knew something was up, but not how deep, clearly. And I left him a message just pretty much saying I wanted to see him and that I love him and to please call me. And I don't know if he ever heard that message, and I never will. And the toughest thing is, I can't help but wonder, had he picked up the phone, had I had that chance to talk to him, could I have talked him down? And a big part of me feels like I could have. I've struggled with depression. I'm not currently struggling. And, mental health issues for years. I was probably 13 the first time I started struggling on some level. And, I very much believed, I knew that he was going through a tough time. At least, that day was kind of the eye-opener, and, oh, something's going down. I very much believed that we were gonna, get to talk. I would help him through the situation. Things would get better. It would be better overall because he'd be able to get his emotions out, and we'd be able to deal with this appropriately, shall we say. And it didn't turn out that way. And one of the first thoughts I had when, this is difficult, when I got the call that he was gone was, this wasn't supposed to happen. You know, this isn't how this ends. And I never, that was the last thing I expected. It really was. So, I have been struggling in terms of my thoughts with it. Like I said, I don't blame myself. The way my therapist put it was that my intellect and my emotions are getting mixed up or blurred. I can't remember the exact verbiage that was used, but I can agree with that. You know, she had said to me, well, you continuously keep saying that you don't blame yourself, but you keep saying like, well, I could have done this, or what if I would have done that? And I see her point. I do. I also know the difference between, you know, guilt and more, like I said, wishing that I had the chance to save him. And I know you can't save people. You know, that sounds kind of cliche, but it's true. You can, in my experience, all you can do is help. You offer your help, and if they want it, and if they want to be quote-unquote saved, then it works out. But not everyone's going to accept that, and that's a side note. That's not applicable in this particular situation. But it's a lot, and I guess really this video is more my personal feelings than any kind of, you know, step-by-step or here's how you deal with grief kind of thing. And I don't think you can make that kind of video, at least not anything that's going to be real. You'd have to very much take certain things from it. It couldn't be a set thing by any means. You know, everyone deals with grief differently. So, anyway, I keep kind of getting sidetracked here. As I said, stream of consciousness. This is very raw. But I do genuinely wish I had the chance, you know, to talk to him one more time, to try and fix it. You know, I know it's not my responsibility, but I think it's natural. I think anyone dealing with this would have that feeling. So, as I've said in a lot of my videos on Instagram and on Facebook, you know, if you're currently struggling, reach out to the people that you love. You know, whether it's family, friends, call and make an appointment with a therapist. There is help out there, and I've been to some pretty dark places in my time, and you know, I've had the thoughts of like, oh my God, I'm going to feel this way forever, and I'm not going to be happy ever, and you know, life was more about minimizing my pain than gaining pleasure and really pursuing dreams. I thought the best I could do was minimize my pain and just kind of get by. So if you're out there watching this and you're feeling like that, I can tell you from experience, there is another side, there is a way out, and you can get there, 1,000%. And that sounds cliche, and a lot of people say it, but I truly mean that. And there are people out there who care about you, even if you feel like maybe they don't, or you've been isolating too much and they don't, you know, no one's going to care, or if you were gone, it wouldn't matter. Like, it absolutely will. I promise you, there are people out there who do not want you to be gone. And the people who matter will listen. They will support you. Sometimes, yes, I'm going to be honest, people don't always know what to say. It's difficult if someone comes to you and says they're severely depressed or depressed in general or having something really heavy. Some people make them not always, but it can be a mistake to try and give advice and be like, oh, well, you just need to do X, Y, and Z. You need to get out more. You need to work more. You need to start dating or do this or do that. And it's what a lot of people don't get is it's not a step-by-step. There's no specific answer. So, you know, you may get an answer like that you don't like or love or however you'd like to put it. But some people, they can't really get it. If you don't have that frame of reference of having been in a clinical depression, a deep depression, everyone experiences depression on some level. But if you haven't been to the point where like, hey, you're not functioning and you don't want to get out of bed, or you're just really in the deep struggle, if you have no frame of reference, if you've never had that feeling, it's very hard for someone to understand that. And it's not that they're being mean or cold or unsympathetic. They're just working with the information that they have, that they're able to process. That they're giving you what would work for them. And like I've said in all my videos, different things work for different people. Bruce Lee had said, I quote Bruce Lee a lot, I can give you 10,000 of my ways, but they're my ways. Essentially meaning, you have to find what's going to work for you. And I say this a lot too, pull from different resources, from different mentors, from different teachers, from different books, and take what works for you. There's going to be some things that don't work. Maybe they work for someone else. Obviously, they work for someone else if it's in a book or someone's preaching it, but that doesn't mean it's going to work for you, and that's okay. You have to develop your own unique style, behaviors, techniques, and that's the stuff that's going to get you where you want to be. There's a lot of gaps in self-help, I think, and I think in terms of traditional psychology, there's great stuff there as well, but again, there's kind of this missing area, so to speak, of practicality in regards to traditional psychology. So what I'm trying to do with this channel is bridge that gap, give people in general kind of the, hey, here's my stance on personal growth, here's what I think you need to do to get there. I think some of it's far too simplistic, people telling you, well, write a list of goals and make your values and do this. If you're dealing with someone who's severely depressed or even severely anxious or struggling, whatever, you don't even have to necessarily have those particular issues. Just writing something down is mechanical. You're not changing the feeling. You went from something like, if, say you wrote down, I'm useless and unlovable, and then it says to write a empowering version of that, to reframe it. Well, if you say something like, well, I take care of my dogs and they love me and clearly I'm a lovable person, there's truth in that, but I think you're forcing yourself to do it and you're not dealing with the belief itself. To change a belief, you have to really go back and kind of think, where did this start, and X, Y, and Z. I have videos all about that, so you can check those out. But point being, as I said, I'm bouncing back and forth. Find what works for you, and if you have a loved one who's struggling or you're worried about them, reach out, just be like, hey, how have you been doing? You don't have to go so far as to say that you're terribly worried about them. You could say that you're worried, in terms of just being like, hey, I can tell that you've been down lately or been struggling, and I would just really like to talk about what's going on. No judgment. I just want to be able to support you, and I wanted to see what's up. They may respond, they may not, but still, showing that support is huge. Just being there for someone, and that's, again, it sounds cliche, but it's true. Just being there and it's kind of there was a story I'd heard one time, or kind of an analogy rather, about depression being like a hole, someone being stuck in the hole, and other people looking down and just telling them like, well, here's how you get out, and like, oh, here, use this or dig that way or blah blah blah, and someone else comes along and they jump into the hole with the person, and the person who's depressed, in this metaphor anyway, is like, what are you doing? Now we're both stuck here. And the person just says, I'll sit here with you and we'll figure a way out of here together. So I think that was extremely powerful. So alright guys, again, this was a little bit all over the place, but the take-home message is, if you're struggling, reach out to people. If you know someone who's struggling, reach out to them. And until later, my friends, be well.